not only is he a virtuoso on that ukulele, but the guy plays the heck out of the banjo and the guitar and every instrument ever created. And he's got, you can get a taste of that on all of his CDs in the back of the room after service. How would it be if we just lived that song? Just lived that song on this Labor Day, made a commitment, a sacred commitment. I'm going to start getting to my labors here today and move things out of the way because I like to move. And we let love lead the way, totally and completely. Would your life be different? If the morning when you got up and you went headed out to work, how would it be if love just led the way? How would it be if you had a context and a heart leading the way as opposed to that thought that happens on Labor Day? Oh, thank God I don't have to go to work tomorrow. Come on, you've all had it. You've all had it. I get to sleep in tomorrow. I got a couple of quotes to get us started on this Labor Day talk. Edgar Bergen said that hard work never killed anybody, but why take a chance? Every day I get up and I look through the Forbes list of the richest people in America. If my name is not there, I go to work. Whenever you are asked, this is Teddy Roosevelt, whenever you are asked if you can do a job, tell them, well, certainly I can, and then get really busy figuring out how to do it. Anybody else live their life that way? You know, my wife said at one point that most of the people who are walking around the planet realizing that if people really knew, I have no idea what I'm doing. And so we're all pretending and hiding. Yet here at Unity North, we ask you to be fully and completely you and to shine. And if you don't know how to do it with radical joy, radical peace, radical love. We've been talking a whole bunch about radical peace, radical joy, radical love, and radical community. And isn't it beautiful? You come here together and we spend time with each other and we can see that. We show up fully and completely as ourselves, right? And then we go out the doors and we play hide and seek. I'm saying all the oxen free. How would it be? How would it be if your life was such that as you lived in this space, this sanctuary, and in the company of these people, began a journey that when you went to work, not tomorrow morning because you have a day off, but on Tuesday morning, whatever your job may be, and that parents, you're included in that. It's the least paying job on the planet and the hardest job on the planet. But if you brought to your job the fullness of your magnificence, the fullness of your spirit, and you didn't hide at all, is that possible? How many people have ever hidden in your job? Come on. Now, I'm not saying you show up on Tuesday morning and go to your boss and say, God loves you. Let me give you a squeeze and a hug and a big old sloppy kiss. But could it be that the context of the fullness of your being, the fullness of your heart and your spirit could be so alive within you that the context of your day-to-day doings, the mundane tasks of your job could be so filled that you would be a transformer of the energy of your work environment, your family environment, whether you be in the field, in the office, or at home, it doesn't matter. Is that possible? Could it be that that simple act of no longer hiding, all the oxen free, everybody, could be a part of the transformation of the entire planet? If enough of us showed up to work in that radical awareness of who we are, I believe the world would take care of itself. If you showed up as the light of the world that we know you to be, to extend that vibration. How many of you are willing to do that? How many are willing to show up differently on Tuesday morning, Wednesday morning, Thursday morning, and Friday morning? I believe it, not Friday. Friday, I'm going to go back to being the SOB that I am. How selfish is it? How selfish that we come together in community and we spend time swimming in the vast miracle of our love and our community, and then we go hide. I'm challenging you today to not just put your hand up with that kind of commitment, but to go, I'm fully in. I'm fully in, and my boss is going to be treated differently when I go in on Tuesday. My co-workers are going to be treated differently, and I'm going to behold the face of God. We teach in Unity that you cannot make exceptions to where you find the face of God, no matter how bright or difficult it might be. You cannot make exceptions. Anybody make an exception for that guy at work that just drives you up the wall? Come on, I'm not the only one. Not that there's anybody here at Unity North that I would say that. It's Labor Day. Labor Day was first implemented on September 5th, 1882. And it was a creation of the labor movement dedicated to the social and economic achievements of American workers. It's a yearly national tribute to the contributions workers have made to the strength, the prosperity, the well-being of our country. That's the Wikipedia definition. It's a day to be grateful. It's a day to be thankful. It's a day to acknowledge. How many people have ever just gotten up on any morning, and thought about the number of people, the number of laborers, the number of workers who were a part of your existence being great? You know, it's a little bit embarrassing to me that our country had to set aside a day to be grateful for the labor force of America. And then we treat it as if it's like, thank God I don't have to go to that place tomorrow. Let's all have a barbecue and pig out and then take a nap. I'm challenging you to look at Labor Day a little bit differently tomorrow when you get up. And I want you to think about the person who built your house, the person who built the bed, the person who made the sheets that are in that bed, the carpeting or the floor that was there. And when you get to have your breakfast, I want you to take a moment to acknowledge the labor that was put into the food and the thousands of people that were a part of bringing that food to your table so that you could live in the luxury of your freedom and have food to eat, a home over your head. How about the clerks that you deal with every day? I'm challenging you tomorrow when you go to the grocery store to find a way without embarrassing yourself or the person across the counter to love that person. To find the presence of God in that face, no matter their behavior, because the face of God is not determined by somebody's behavior. It is only determined by your consciousness and your ability to look beyond the veil. This is a theme in unity. It's a time of recognition. And I want to suggest that we look at tomorrow as not a day off where I don't have to go to that place where it's all about me, but to go to a place where we say, I appreciate everybody who took the time to make my life a better place. Anybody ever stop and thank a police officer? A fireman? Firewoman? What's that? Firefighter. I know there wasn't a politically correct term to use there, and I just couldn't find it. There are people working to beautify your life, to clean your life, to repair your life. How about you get in the car? How many got in the car today? Somebody maintain that car. Call your mechanic and say, God, I love you. I appreciate you. Let Labor Day not just be a one-time event once a year because the government says you get a day off, but let it be a consciousness that begins to shift, that we are intrinsically connected. And you don't have to come to church to remember the truth that we are all one. Look at your life. There are thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people that are connected to you in a great web. People you will never meet. People you will never, ever have a conversation with, but your life is blessed because you are connected to them in this country. And there are people all over the world that you're intrinsically connected to. So I'm saying make a shift from me to we on Labor Day and let that live in your mind when you go to work on Tuesday. To look at those people with a different set of eyes. It's a we. We're in this together. We belong together. We're committed to each other, even in your behavior that I don't necessarily like. God's ambassadors of labor are doing a heck of a great job on the planet, yes? So that switch not only happens externally, not how you're dealing with people out here, that shift begins to say something different within you. Anybody ever just work for a paycheck? Yep, I go to work because I have to go to work. I have to pay bills. I have to make the house payment. Be thankful for the person who holds the mortgage. They're part of your labor force. They're part of your committee. They're part of your team. But you begin to shift from work as a competition. How many of us have looked at work? I just got to work harder than anybody else because I got to get ahead. It's not a positive way to look at your labors. A perpetual burden of stress and anxiety. Anybody ever have that in your job? How about the tasks, the have-tos of life? Anybody have have-tos in your life? Change them to get-tos. Change them to get to. And look at changing the mindset from getting something, a paycheck, a piece of cheese at the end of the maze of just putting in my time, to what am I bringing to the environment? That simple shift is a part of the transformation of the entire labor force of the country. That's what Labor Day is about to me. What am I bringing? And if you want to amplify your spiritual path, look at every deed you've ever done, that you are doing, and that you will do, and change the mindset from I get to I give. Plain and simple. That simple mindset will be a part of the restoration of oneness that we all seek. Instead of I'm getting something, I'm going to give something. However small or big I have deemed my work to be, I want you to know that every action you take is part of a great mechanism, which is God in action. There's only one power, one presence, one goodness, one spirit. So everything you're doing is God in action, God in form. When you're getting served at the restaurant, take a moment to look at that waitress when she comes up. This is God. Serving God, bringing me God, because it's all the same energy. And then examine any thought within this laboratory of your consciousness that says, but she didn't act like God, or this food doesn't taste like God to me. And then be grateful for how God showed up as all the people that brought that food to your table. An awareness that I believe will be the healing of the planet. That simple shift in consciousness. So, there's a name for this. It's called karma yoga. Karma yoga. Here's my loose definition of karma yoga. Don't you love that picture, by the way? I tried doing that in my office, and Diane said, get off the table. Of course, I was dancing at the time. Work as spiritual practice. The shift that I'm talking about is the shift to karma yoga, an ancient belief system. Here's my brief, small definition of karma yoga. Karma means action. In its simplest form, it means action. It means doing, this movement associated with karma. It's not necessarily about tying yourself into a pretzel. My good friend Averill will tell you that karma has been misinterpreted. And yoga, that's what I mean. Yoga is not putting yourself in a pretzel. Yoga means union. The action of creating unity. The action of creating oneness. How would your work environment be if you went to work on Tuesday morning after being so grateful on Monday with the sole purpose, the only purpose, to create unity at your work environment, to create a sense of oneness with God? How many people could open up a corner of your mind that your sole purpose on the planet and the sole purpose in your career and the sole purpose in your job and the sole purpose in every task that you do is to find the face of God? That's what Labor Day should be about. That's what karma yoga is about. It is absolutely paying attention to the task that I am doing as ministry. And maybe I'm filing papers. No. You're organizing God. I'm taking the garbage out. One of the happiest people I ever met on the planet was a garbage collector. And the guy did his work with excellence. I want to tell you a story about my friend Stu Boyer. I met Stu Boyer at Unity of Sacramento in California. The guy demonstrated karma yoga. I went to Unity Christ Church in Sacramento because I'd heard they had some pretty decent music and they had a really nice message. I walked into Unity Christ Church in Sacramento, and within 15 minutes I'd heard more about the ministry of the bathroom than I did on the platform. My friend Stu Boyer, and I think he's listening today. You're one of my heroes, Stu. He is a gifted musician, fantastic musician. He's one of the best sound engineers on the planet, second only to Michael Wilhelm. And when I got there, 15 people within 3 minutes said, have you met Stu? Oh, go into the men's room. He was working as the janitor at Unity Christ Church. And let me tell you, you walked into the men's room at that church, it was like God. And they used to laugh. You can eat your dinner off the floor. Not that I tried, but you could have done that. Now, here was a man gifted in 1,000 different places, yet he brought to his work as a janitor in a church, some people might say is menial work, as less than work. And more ministry was happening in the bathroom than was happening on the platform that day. I was touched at depth, at the level of my heart, because this man put excellence into it. He wasn't just cleaning toilets. He wasn't just cleaning sinks and cleaning tiles. He was finding the face of God and connecting with people who would come there he would never meet, who would feel the energy of what he put into his job as a janitor. That man is my hero. And it was a context of my entire ministry. I get the blessed opportunity to come up here and to get to speak and share a few ideas with you. But my greatest ministry is what I'm doing when I'm in the trenches with all of you people. And we're just getting busy with the tasks at hand, performing karma yoga. Let's vacuum the floor and let's find God. Let's file papers, and let's find God in each other. And so I'm challenging each and every one of you to find the face of God in your coworkers, to find the face of God when you walk into that room on Tuesday morning. What is the attitude? And when you walk into your office at Tuesday morning at 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock, whenever you get there, because it is determining whether your belief in God is contained within a building, a community, an environment or not. If you can't find God at work, you can't find God here. If you can't find love at work, you're not going to find love here. It's an illusion. It is pretend, and it is not founded in unity principle. So I'm saying go hug the janitor who works in your work environment. Go find the janitor and thank them for the incredible work that they are doing. Karma yoga. He's finding God back there already. Take a breath, everybody. Take a breath. And let's be love. Let's be love. He's okay. Just let him have a seat. Everything's cool. So I'm asking you to change your mind, to bring about a oneness of God, and to live the example of karma yoga in everything you do. Parents, we have parents sitting here today. Hardest job on the planet, the least paid job on the planet. Bring a new mindset that it isn't just the task of raising a kid, it is raising the presence of God. Everything you do, everything you say is nurturing the presence of God. Now, there are plenty of scriptures, plenty of writings about what I'm talking about here. From the Bhagavad Gita itself. Let's put the quotes up there. We have them up there? Nope, not that one. Isn't there another one? There's the one I'm looking for. Please read this with me from the Bhagavad Gita. Set thy heart upon thy work, but never on its reward. If you're working for a paycheck, you need to flip a switch in your head. It's not ministry. It's playing for a reward. We need to look at the benefit, the reward at the end is one and only. It is, I found a greater realization of my God essence. I found a greater realization of how to express and to experience God in my day-to-day doing. From Ephesians and Colossians, because St. Paul thought it was pretty important to at least put it in twice. You can find it 4 or 5 times in his writings. This is what he has to say. Together, serve wholeheartedly as if you were serving the Lord, not men. So put yourself in the waitress's place when you go to work, or you're out of work. We have some people that are unemployed here. When you get up tomorrow morning or get up on Tuesday, are you bringing an attitude that says wherever I go, whatever I'm doing, whoever I'm going to meet is going to be the activity of God in radical action, radical joy, radical peace? You may be a plumber, and you bring your briefcase as a plumber. Let it be filled with the principles that we share on Sunday morning, because they're more valuable than the tools for plumbing. I was kidding with Ted earlier in the first service about being an accountant. And he can go to his job and be a number cruncher. That would be like for me. Or he can go as a number cruncher and bring radical peace into the environment. Radical joy into the environment. I had a vision of a bunch of accountants sitting on their desk and dancing on their desk. Is it possible to make that transformation and to overcome the belief system of what an accountant is supposed to look like or supposed to be? Yes, the answer is yes. So why is it we don't do it? How many of you have ever wanted to do that, gone into that banking environment? Tracy used to work in the banking environment, and I know for a fact she doesn't play small. She walked into boardrooms with a bunch of men sitting around the table who all had views of her as a powerful woman, and she transformed the energy. Yes? Because she brought a greater sense of who she is. She didn't play small because a bunch of men said she should play small. She brought radical joy, radical peace, and an awareness of the presence of God doing business as her, but not as them being wrong. The radical presence of God sitting around the table, and suddenly what looked like this looked like this. You can be the conduit for that. Go do some bathroom ministry. Go look at the tasks that you're doing and do some bathroom ministry. And to know that your job and your title is not nearly as effective as how you're showing up when you think nobody's looking. Your greatest ministry is doing what you do and doing you fully and completely when you think nobody is looking. Charles Fillmore, let's read what he has to say about this. The true object of all work is to express the power of one's being. That's what Tracy did right there. Your perfect unity student. She expressed the power of her being. What keeps you from doing that? Call it out. I want to hear. What keeps you from showing up that way? Fear? Anybody afraid? I might be rejected if I show up that way. I might lose my job. If you're in a job on this Labor Day, don't quote me here, where you can't show up and be fully who you are, you don't want that job. Get out of that job and have enough faith in God to provide you the job where you can show up as your radical self. Go be completely you, and one of two things will happen. The environment is going to transform. You will transform the environment because the energy is going to be exchanged between you and your coworkers, you and your boss, you and the people that work for you. Or you'll be moved into a new position where you can be radically you. The fifth unity principle is basically karma yoga in action. Get off your butt and do something in the name of the God essence that you are. When you're moving that vacuum cleaner across the floor, you are creating an environment for the presence of God by 10,000 people that'll walk into this space that you're never going to meet. But they're going to come in and feel something different than, oh, there's a clean floor. They're going to feel the energy of God. The truth that you know is the truth that you demonstrate. And we teach a lot in here about meditation and peace and Sabbath and harmony, absolutely, essentially important to the spiritual path. Foundation. Your presence, your being must always precede your doing. But I want to be really clear here that sometimes doing gets a bad rap in unity, in metaphysics. Because being and doing are intrinsically linked, and when you separate them, something doesn't work. Anybody ever know somebody who was so spiritual they were of no earthly good? Oh, let's just talk about spiritual concepts till we're blue in the face. And then tomorrow let's meet and get into a committee and let's talk about spiritual concepts. And then, hey, how about tomorrow? Let's talk about it some more. So damn spiritual that nothing gets done. Karma yoga says get off the couch and do something. Put the activity of God into action, into play. Get in the game. No matter how scared you are, put your body, this magnificent gift, into ministry. And let everything you do be informed by your spirituality. You see, if your doing is not informed by your being, it is meaningless. So bring the ultimate of your essence, your divine spiritual essence. Doing without being is just spinning your wheel. Anybody do that in your job? You're doing without being. It is a quick road to burnout. Now, am I the only one that ever got to burnout? Forget who I am. Forget who these people are. Forget the blessed opportunity to collaborate in an environment where we're all working together. What a great laboratory to discover oneness. And if you can't prove oneness in your work environment, work harder. Look deeper. Be more conscious. Be more awake. How do I bring God into my roles, into my tasks, into my responsibilities? Better yet, how do I live as God in the endless, mundane set of doings that comprise my life? Faith, James, in the book of James, the Gospel of James, faith without works is what? Faith without works is what? Faith without works, without karma yoga, without activity to put your spiritual principles into play is dead. My hope for you is that you're alive and not dead. And so how you face Labor Day tomorrow morning when you get up is either a step towards life or a step towards death. After a day off, sleeping in a little bit, how you face Tuesday morning when you go back to your day-to-day being, whether you're employed or not, what you do is either a step towards life or a step towards death. And the only difference is your consciousness. The difference between adversity and adventure will always be your attitude. So what is your attitude when it comes to your labors? This beautiful interconnected web of being is ministry. If my friend Stu can clean a bathroom and call it ministry, then you certainly can go to work on Tuesday morning and go, somebody's life is going to be changed as a result of what I do today. Mother Teresa said this, there is always, let's put that quote up there, let's read it together. There is always the danger that we just do the work for the sake of the work, This is where the respect, love, and devotion come in, that we do it to God. And that's why we try to do it as beautifully as possible. My friend, Stu is an offspring of Mother Teresa in consciousness, in spirit, and in truth. If you're just being a human doing for the sake of human doing, you may be getting a lot done. You may be making lots of money. You may be getting a big paycheck. You may have got advanced in your job, and you're not doing any good for the planet. Leave a legacy that when you leave the room, your energy is still in there. The God essence you discovered is still in there. Leave the job. When you leave the job on Tuesday night, leave a legacy. Show up 10 minutes early. Oh, there's an idea. 10 minutes early, my friend Michael, who does the first service with me, said he used to go into his job he hated, and he transformed the whole environment, and he changed his own attitude by showing up 10 minutes early and sitting at his desk and doing meditation. Peace and only peace here. Radical peace and only radical peace here. The job began to shift before his eyes. Did it shift? Or did his consciousness shift? I don't care what it is, but a shift happened. And I believe Labor Day is to make that shift and to get a little bit grateful for how blessed we are, how incredibly blessed we are. You know, the volunteers that last here at Unity North, plain and simple, I make a study of watching volunteers because they are the greatest asset that we have, are the ones that understand that they're just not watering plants. I come in here and Ann waters our beautiful plants. And she does it with such joy. And we talk and we dance. We don't dance literally. But we dance. It's a date, baby. We dance in spiritual concepts. It's sort of whistle while you work. There's joy happening here. The volunteers that go, well, I have to serve my church. I have to take care of it. I have to do this because I'm a member of the community. Don't last at Unity North and get burned out pretty quick and are walking out the back door. Find a way to plug into what's happening here, to live karma yoga, and to know that your ministry, whether it be watering plants, cleaning the bathroom, or vacuuming the floor, is more valuable than what happens at this platform. The sense of community, the sense of oneness is more profound when there is no applause at the end of the talk. There's no applause at the end of moving the vacuum. Let me tell you, I praise Al Mango every time I get a chance. There is a lot of ministry going on downstairs. A lot of ministry going on downstairs. And he deserves to be recognized for that. On Labor Day, I want to recognize that. I want to recognize Nicole Glasgow, who was in the front office at Unity North. She doesn't get any applause. She's making a heck of a lot less than I do. But let me tell you, she's the most valuable player we got on this team. Love her up. Appreciate her. I spent some time yesterday in the garden with a bunch of people who were volunteers making this beautiful back parking lot look like the Garden of Eden. Not one of them gets paid. Not one of them is worried about the paycheck. And the first thing that's dialogue that happens when I go to the garden is, can I give you some vegetables? Not, how much am I getting? I've never met one gardener that's putting in the sweat equity every Wednesday and every Saturday in our back garden who says, I want to get mine. They are living the energy of the Bhagavad Gita. Set thy heart upon thy work, but never on its reward. And I would say that the rewards are far greater than money, far greater than chili peppers or cucumbers. It is the sense of community and oneness in God that is born in the exercise. That is karma yoga. Your tools. Here are your tools. I'm going to give you things. These are the ones I want you to take notes. No matter what your task may be, how do you bring God into the field? You always want me to give the how-to. Now, that's not it yet. We're not there yet. Sorry, Wes. Your tools are your words, your interactions, your thoughts, your focus, your gratitude, your respect of the environment. When you go into your office on Tuesday morning, look at your environment. Does it reflect a sanctuary? Is it an altar? Or is it, I just got the job done? Take a look at the environment. Take a look at how you were speaking to your fellow employees. Take a look at how you were talking about your boss behind his back. What kind of energy you're living in when you talk about the boss with the employees. Is it God or is it critique? You see, there's only one problem to fix on the planet, here and at your work environment, and that is duality. It is the only problem. Every challenge of the world can be boiled down to one thing, duality. When you're speaking to your co-employees, are you creating duality or are you creating oneness? Let ministry happen. Let karma yoga happen. We're in this together. Let's do this together. How you speak about others when you leave work, that's indicating whether your God is contained in a building and in a community or not. How you speak 2 minutes before you walk into the door, take a look at that. Examine the consciousness, because your consciousness is creative. Your thoughts are creative. You're either making that office hell or you're making it heaven. And you're the only one that can change it. Here, now we'll go back to the others. Wes, the one that you put up. The last one. No, not that one. Oh, it's cute to look at again. Here's the homework. I like to give homework because I'm working on these things and I'm asking you to work on these things too. Write them down. Don't just take them into your mind and forget about them when you go to lunch. See God as the doer, not you. When you get into your day-to-day life, see God as the doer, not you. You are the veritable presence of God. You are the Christ. You are the Atman. You are the Tao. You are all that is holy and beautiful and sacred. Live up to your birthright. Live up to the moniker. Not just here, but when you go to work. It's God doing business. Number 2, shift that attitude from compensation, what am I getting, to contribution, cooperation, belonging. I'm inviting you to take a list at the end of each day. Take a list of how you contributed to somebody's life. And maybe even add on that list the people that you will never meet. If you work at a bank, there were probably 100 people that came through that bank that were touched by your energy in this space, by your work in that space. Keep a list of that. Keep a list of the people that impacted your life and then go tell them. Don't wait till tomorrow to tell them. Call them up and say, thank you. I really enjoyed working with you today. That's what Labor Day is all about. That's what Karma Yoga is about. I behold the face of God. And you may not go to your environment and say, God, you were so beautiful, you are the face of God. But find a way to use the translation, to use your mind to say you are the face of God by your kindness and your love. Don't just give it theory, go do it. Number 3, from me to we. This is about being a team. The only way that this place stands today is because I got a magnificent team. And if I don't say it enough, let me tell you, I've got the best team on the planet that supports me, and I get applause. I get to come up here and share. But there is a whole team of people, volunteer and otherwise, that deserve gratitude on Labor Day. I'm asking you tomorrow to get up and just thank the staff of Unity North Atlanta Church and its board of directors, because they work very hard for you to have an experience. Love them up. And it's okay to say you are the face of God to them. About 1,000 different people. I went looking for who originally said this. There is no limit to the amount of good you can do if you don't care who gets the credit. I want you to take that in. When you go to work, and you're there is no shortage to the amount of good that can be done on this planet, in our humanity, on this earth, if we get up the need to have the recognition at the end of it. The thank you at the end of it. It's nice to get the thank you, but if you're living for the thank you, if you're living for the paycheck, if you're living for the dollar, you're living for the wrong reason. Live in a place of karma yoga for the presence of God and the union that happens in that awareness. Number 4, how many of you have rituals in your day-to-day life? How many have rituals in your day-to-day work environment? I'm asking you to reframe those rituals, to look at them differently. The day-to-day mundane tasks that you were doing them, look at them as ministry. And it may be cleaning a sink or cleaning a toilet. Look at it differently. Channel your inner Stu Boyer and bring excellence. That's honoring Labor Day. Reframing every single ritual that you have. There's a story of the 2 bricklayers. I won't go into the whole story, but basically 2 masons were working, and they asked the first guy, what are you doing? And he says, I'm laying bricks, that's all. The second guy stood up and said, oh, no, I'm not laying bricks. I'm helping to construct a magnificent cathedral. Let your filing, let your cleaning of a bathroom be the magnificent building of a cathedral and nothing less. It honors the presence of God that you are. It honors the presence of God of your co-workers. And it lives in an energy that is expansive and doesn't die with, oh, I'm punching the clock, I'm going home. Thank God I'm free of that environment. Your consciousness is creative. And then last, number 5, build being into your workday. Sabbath is not just one thing we do on Sunday morning. We come together and we share in community and have a good time. Sabbath is a moment-to-moment awareness and consciousness that says, I'm making a difference on the planet. Stop. Finish the filing job. Take a breath and go, God is really good at filing. The world's a little bit more organized in God awareness because every paper I put into that file is infused with a different energy than just filing. Breathe and reflect. Let every action you take be a sacred opportunity to minister. And if nobody's in the room with you, minister to the presence of God doing business as you. We're going to take this into a time of meditation. Take a deep breath. Sometimes I have the blessed opportunity in my labors here to beat a dead horse. And I think I've made my point 47 and a half times today. And the reason I do that is because I want for each and every one of you a life that is heaven on earth, a job that is heaven on earth, day-to-day being and living that is heaven on earth. And I'm calling out of you anything within your field that says, my job is hell. Because if you say your job is hell, you're saying your life is hell, and you're manifesting hell. Find a way to be the creator, the producer, the director of your own reality. Have the eyes, beginner's ears to walk into that environment and go, today I am performing karma yoga. And there will be a greater connection of God in my actions, a greater union in my actions. Take a deep breath with me. We're going to go into this meditation, this is April's wheelhouse, as I said. I know it's going to be a beautiful meditation, and we have a wonderful song. What are we singing, Julie? Oh, perfect choice. To love, serve, and remember. It's the only reason you're on the planet. It's the only reason you have a job. It's the only reason